Okay, so let's now look at how to play our bar chord 7 shapes. You may already know how to play bar chord 7 shapes, but I want to talk about bar chords briefly. Bar chords, if you have never played them before, will be really hard at first, but with practice they will become second nature. Once you can play these bar chords, there's probably no song that you won't be able to play on rhythm guitar, so they really are worth learning. So let's take a look at what we were doing. We have a G7, we have a C7, and a D7. So the first thing to note is we are playing the same shape. Our hands and fingers will stay, our hand and finger positions will stay the same. We're just moving this up the neck. So once we master this G7 bar chord, the rest is pretty easy. So with our first chord shape, G7, we are basing the G7 chord off our G root note on the big string. But obviously this is a bar chord, so our fingers aren't going to be curled anymore, our fingers are going to be flat. Now you might already know how to play a bar chord, but I'm going to explain and talk about some tips and techniques for bar chords for those who don't know. So our first finger needs to be flat across fret 3 on all the strings. At this point, I would say if you've never played a bar chord before, I would start by just keeping your finger flat across all 6 strings and trying to get every single string to ring out. And I would practice that maybe 10 times in a row. Now, if you've never done this before, it's going to be hard. Might even be a little bit sore. But just with practice, you will get it. And what we're aiming for is every string ringing out really nicely. So let's just practice that one more time. Our first finger is going to be flat across all 6 strings. What you might find is on these top strings, you get this sound. As you get better at pushing evenly across the whole finger, those strings should start to ring out. So let's talk about a few more tips. My thumb on the back of the guitar is halfway down. It's not poking over, it's not too far down, it's bang in the middle, about halfway down the back of the neck. Now every hand's different, every guitar is different, so for you it might be slightly different, but that's a really good starting point. You're going to press in with your fingers evenly, trying across all 6 strings. We've talked about our thumb. Try and keep relaxed in your shoulder, the arm, the elbow. Whenever you get stiff and tight, give everything a shake and wait about 10 seconds. So keeping relaxed, thumb right in the middle of the back, finger evenly pressing across all the strings. So the other thing to talk about is your finger won't be completely straight. It's going to go a little bit to the left. Now the reason why is the side of our finger is actually a harder part. And most people won't be completely flat or straight. Their finger will tilt slightly to the left. So there it is, completely flat and just a little bit to the left. The final thing that might help is playing close to the fret. So don't be bang in the middle of fret 3, be nice and close to that fret line. So let's now add our other fingers. Hopefully that's sounding good. We're now going to add our third finger to fret 5 on the A string. And we're going to add our second finger to fret 4 on G. And this is how it should sound. That's obviously going to be a lot harder, but everything I talked about will now apply again. So that finger's nice and flat, thumb's in a good position, nice and relaxed. And yes, we're pushing, but hopefully you'll get to the point soon where it doesn't feel like you're having to push really, really hard. Now, keep these fingers nice and curled. What you might find is a bit of skin under these fingers touch the other strings. So you've also got to do your best to keep these fingers nice and curled. And if you get that sound, just try and angle your fingers up a bit. And the final little point to raise out, as you can see my palm, it's not really dropped and it's not hugging the neck. It's in a nice position. So if you think about all those things, you'll have a really nice bar chord. Now the rhythm we were doing was we were resting on beat 1, and you can do that by lifting the pressure or by putting your hand here. So 1, and on beat 2 we're strumming, 2, we're resting on beat 3, so you can bring your hand here or you can lift the pressure here, 1, 2. So see I strum, and then I lift all the pressure off my fingers. So 1, 2, 3, and then on beat 4 we're going to strum again with the same idea. And we do that for 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here comes the easy bit. We slide everything up to fret 8. Fret 8 is our C note. We're going to play a C7. So we'll have a flat finger in fret 8, fret 10 for our 3rd finger, and fret 9 for our 2nd finger. And we're going to do 2 bars. Back to G for 2 bars. D, you might already guess what we're going to do, all the way up to fret 10. Down to C. And now we come to our turnaround. And a slightly different turnaround. So far we have kept to the same turnaround, but here we have the 1 chord and the 4 chord on bar 11. And then we have the 1 chord and the 5 chord on bar 12. All for half a bar each. It's just a nice way to vary how we can play the last 2 bars really, because we don't always have to do the exact same thing. So bar 11, we'd have half a bar of G, 1, 2, go to C, 3, 4. Bar 12, 1, 2, D, 3, 4. So let me play those last 2 bars again on their own. Bars 11 and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.